Okay, so we got JJK 256, the official chapter, all the official translations. It's out. And I just want to know, is this the best chapter that we've gotten in a while? I can't really define what's in a while, but it was really action packed. So when you read it, just give me some of your thoughts.
It was an interesting chapter. I did like that, LaRue had some impact. He probably played the most important role in recent chapters, and allowing Yuji to kind of get his spur of the moment, right, and landing that huge blow at the end. It seemed like this chapter just kind of honed in on just black flashes, right? It was a black
Mm-hmm.
flash fest. So outside of that, didn't really nothing really stood out to me. Just seemed like we're just waiting on what's really next.
Yeah, and I guess something large has to happen next, right? Because at the end we gotten that Yuji Itadori has awoken. But what I liked was, what people have been annoyed with is kind of the one-on-one with Sukuna, because we know it doesn't really make sense. No character really stands a chance one-on-one. So I like the attacking him in numbers, right? Grouping up to
Mhm.
attack Sukuna. I think that makes it pretty interesting. You mentioned LaRue, and I think the interesting thing about LaRue is he was a follower of Ghetto, but like these people who followed Ghetto, like they really followed him because Miguel was like, all right, we did our part, we can get out of here. But he was like, nah, you know what I'm saying? And it's almost like in honor of like Suguru, like I gotta still see this through. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
whatever kind of cult action he had going on there, you could just tell it was very, very strong. But yeah, I like that LaRue, stuck around and they kind of realized that the threat here, the magnitude of this, if Sukuna wins this, then who knows what'll happen. So we got to kind of
Yeah.
see this through. And
Mhm.
yeah, that introduction to the Black Flashes, it kind of like foreshadowed that something important was going to come in the form of a Black Flash. And because Sukuna had just landed a Black Flash, I thought we were getting some insight there. But to maybe some people shocked, not everybody shocked, because apparently some people thought it was coming, and then they mentioned it right before he did it about Mahito having a feeling that Yuji was like gonna land a Black Flash.
Mhm.
Yuji lands that Black Flash on Sukuna. And I just, when I looked at the panel and the artwork, I just thought like, it was just like an amazing panel to look at. It was really, really like well drawn.
Kind of like a tug of war because in this past chapter, I think Sukuna landed two black flashes just in the chapter alone. And then, of course, Yuji lands that last one, but they kind of pointed out that, anytime Yuji hits Sukuna, at
Mm-hmm.
least with a black flash or with his, soul fist, it kind of deters, Sukuna's black flash. The amp that he gets from his black flash, it kind of deters it. So it's kind of like a back and forth tug of war type of thing going on. I'm just curious to see, what is this awakening that Yuji will have it coming to the
Mm-hmm.
next chapter, or is it just kind of just talk, right? Because we've seen Giga write things like, "Oh, it's awakening," and then next thing you know, the next chapter we can probably even surmise or predict that Sukuna now gets the upper hand, and that awakening was just a black flash amp,
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
sometimes the translations can kind of fall short of what we
Yeah, well,
expect.
I'm suspecting that we might actually get into the theory that's been floating around for a while. The theory of Yuji and Sukuna being maybe like siblings or twins, and Sukuna was the dominant twin and killed the other twin, and then that's how allegedly he got the four hands. I'm not sure if you heard that one. Did you hear that one floating around
Yeah, that's a
before?
popular one. Yeah, that's
Okay,
definitely up there.
I feel like we're gonna get into something that's either gonna prove that correct or debunk that. But I feel like we're gonna get a little bit of background on Yuji here.
Mhm.
Hopefully, we get some Kenjaku flashbacks. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting to hear Kenjaku kind of telling what it is. You know what I'm saying? Explaining what Yuji is, and then that'll kind of explain to us the awakening. I was actually talking to Smoke, and what Smoke was saying is similar to that theory that he feels like, like they were like twins, whatever, and Sukuna, killed his twin, but he felt like Kenjaku had something to do with this. Like Kenjaku was all a part of it, and he kind of, I guess, for lack of better terms, got the DNA of Yuji and was able to, well, not Yuji, but got the DNA of Sukuna's twin and was able to like kind of like put that into creating Yuji, the vessel Yuji. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like what Smoke think is going on. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like we're gonna get something to kind of give us the backstory of, is there a relation or some kind of deeper connection between Yuji and Sukuna, which there might be, right? Because think back to the chapter when he says, "Oh, you're him from back then." You know what I mean?
Yeah, he knows who he is. They all just the three of them, and the fact that Sukuna says Kenjaku's creepy, is something that Kenjaku. We know he's creepy, right? Because the fact that he bore Yuji himself by taking over Yuji's mom and bearing his child, and at one point, during the start of the Culling Games, Kenjaku even thanks Yuji's friend for befriending Yuji, right? Like, which
Mhm.
was pretty. So yeah, I'm very curious to see who Yuji is in his past life, and what does that mean to the overall story?
Yeah, I mean, I'm dying for the Kenjaku flashback. Remember, I said it. I'm like, if we don't get that Kenjaku flashback, then he was a wasted character of him just
Yeah,
explaining the process of Yuji, what the plan was. Like, I
yeah,
I need that. If I don't get that, like, I won't be able to sleep. I need that. You know what I
yeah.
mean? But another thing though, another question that comes to mind at this point in time in the story, us as the audience, the readers, do we even care about saving Megumi anymore? Or is it all about defeating Sukuna? Because I feel like Megumi is really like, yes, that's what they're doing it for, but he's not mentioned. He's barely mentioned. So he's becoming like an afterthought. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, gotta save Megumi. But it's like, do I really care about that? Like, what's your feelings there on Megumi?
I think the way with the main cast at this point, one, they're looking to survive and they're looking to defeat Sukuna by any means necessary, even at the expense of, Megumi. Now, if they can get Megumi in the process, right? Because if they can have Megumi's interference, then it'll help them and help their cause. And we seen he kind of gave up in that chapter when, Yuji got through to him. But at this point, I think Megami will probably play a role in Sukuna's defeat in some shape or form. But I do think he's kind of like an afterthought because Sukuna is just such a powerhouse that they're like, yo, we're just trying to
Yeah.
just get this guy out of the equation by any means necessary.
I don't think Yuji's going to be able to let it go. I think his main character syndrome is going to kick in, and I think he's going to have to save his quote unquote best friend. I feel like that main character syndrome is going to kick in, and it's going to, I mean, there's probably going to be a moment where maybe they have an opening on Sukuna, but he has to make the move to save Megumi. I feel like that main character syndrome's on its way. And the reason I say that is because I've been fooled before where I thought JJK was kind of, throwing a loop, doing something a bit different. And as you mentioned before, it kind of displayed some of those typical shonen tropes. You know what I'm saying? So I've been fooled once, and I'm not gonna let it fool me again. So I just feel like
Yeah.
the Mega Me retrieval arc per se is about to go down. I feel like they're gonna like go full circle and really go after Mega Me. We're probably even gonna get a Nobara return or something like that.
Yeah, that can be that would be crazy. Yeah, it just gotta wait and see, man. Because something like you said, something's brewing.
A character, I think, a side character who's becoming quickly a fan favorite, Choso. Like what do you make as Choso, like the mentor, the big brother, but also, like really hands-on in this fight. He's not just sitting back coaching usually. He's really getting his hands dirty as well. What do you make of Choso's character?
I don't know. I think Chozo's probably the least important out of most of the fighters that we've seen fight Sukuna. I don't know what to make of him. I just think he's just there. I think he can potentially serve as a sacrificial pawn to the
Hmm.
story, but I did like the fact that, he brought some of his key skill set in this chapter by, turning Sukuna's fist when he about to land a black flash on him, he turned it into, an armor piece, blood. So yeah, not really much there. It's probably because I don't really have a deep interest in Chozo, to be honest, in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, that's my take. What about you?
Yeah, no, I like Chozo, and I think the audience likes him. I just think he's a really cool character. I think the whole blood piercing and just the blood manipulation ability is pretty cool, pretty interesting. And I just think him, like when I think of him, I think of his actual brothers. Well, I guess to him, Yuji's his actual brother, but his actual brothers, and he's just so like way superior and way cooler than them that I don't know. It just kind of makes him
Hmm.
stand out for me. I like Chozo as a character, but I also see, and I like that you mentioned Sacrificial Limb. I can see him as the character, like I said, a fan favorite, people getting attached to him, and then okay, here's that gut wrenching moment of Chozo biting the dust, Sukuna offing Chozo, and kind of just pull on the emotional strings of some of the viewers. So I can actually see Chozo being that sacrificial lamb. So that's a
Yeah.
good point that you made there. I can kind of see that coming. I think the general audience will care if Chozo gets clipped. And I guess I think we're on break next week, but that ending, like Yuji is awake, his awake, and yeah, I don't know, man. It just right now, just thinking about it, is like almost getting goosebumps. Like and like I said, I think the disservice that was done was the news put out there that JJK is ending soon. Gege's looking to end this soon. So I feel like every time something major happens, it feels like, oh my gosh, we're on the cusp of the end. So right now, I'm just trying to like take it chapter at a time, not think, but
Hmm.
like Yuji, who I think a lot of people argued early on, was he a good main character? Was he not a good main character? Like he's starting to get his shine, right? And I think well deserved. But
Hmm.
that awakening is just so monumental. But I just I'm still thinking, where's Yuta? So I'm wondering, is his awakening going to be overshadowed by something else? Because where's Yuta? What does he have lurking in the background? Did Wee Wee now, or Ooey Ooey, I always call him Wee Wee, did Ooey Ooey now make it off the battlefield, or he's still on the battlefield somewhere? You know what I'm saying? So there's like these couple key moments lurking, and I hope they don't overshadow his awakening. I hope it's done right, where we get the awakening, get that fleshed out properly, then see where these other people are lurking, and
I agree.
just get the full extent of what everyone has going on. Yeah, and to be honest with you, I've lost interest in the Hikari fight. I've lost interest in the Akari fight, so I know the chapter that they decide to flip back over to it. I'm just gonna be like, oh man, come on. I don't want to
You
see
know
this
what's
thing.
crazy? I actually want to see the Hikari fight right now. I'd rather see the Hikari fight than seeing Sukuna be thrown into the gauntlet. At least
Yeah,
just to kind of give us some like a break of, okay, let's see what's happening here.
yeah,
Especially if they do it the right way, because I feel like your roommate can play a big role in this as well.
yeah.
In the fight.
If they cut to it, they gotta just do it. Do it until it's over. Like the Kenjaku Takaba, just do it till it's over. Don't cut to it, then cut back, then leave us waiting again.
Agreed.
If you do it, just do it all the way.
I agree. I agree. Or just the aftermath. They may, show the aftermath of it. Maybe shocking viewers and having Yorame winning, right?
Mhm.
Standing over Hikari's body or holding him up. That can be a possibility as well. So
Yeah, but overall, I like the chapter. I thought it was a pretty good chapter. It's a nice setup. I feel like it's a real setup, not one of those fake setups. I feel like something real is to follow here. I don't know if it's going to be directly into 57, but real soon, I think all our jaws are going to drop. So I'm gonna have the audience go ahead and jump in the comment section. Before you do that, though, like and subscribe to the channel, like the video, but comment, tell us, what do you think Yuji's awakening means to the story and to the trajectory of this fight? And tell us what's the correlation that you believe between Yuji and Sukuna. Can't wait to read those comments. We'll be checking them and getting back to you in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe. Peace.